Welcome the Timol's forgotten mystery. For more than 2,000 years, in the quiet hills of eastern China, a mystery lay hidden in plain sight. In the small village of Cheyanbun, there were a series of ponds, 5 of them, rectangular in shape, their surfaces calm and unchanging. To the people who lived around them, these ponds were simply part of life. They provided water for farming, for fishing, for drinking. Children grew up playing near them, but always with a warning whispered by parents: don't go too close. These ponds are bottomless. The villagers didn't know when the ponds had first appeared. Their origins were lost in the haze of time. For generation after generation, they were treated with equal parts reverence and caution. Elders told stories that no one had ever touched the bottom of these waters. Bamboo poles, no matter how long, disappeared into the depths without resistance and came back up without mud. Travelers passing through the region recorded them as curiosities, and yet no one dared disturb them. They were ponds without explanation, ordinary yet impossible. Then came the summer of 1992. On the morning of June 18th, a villager named Wu Anai stood at the edge of one of these so-called bottomless ponds. He had lived beside them all his life. To him, they were as familiar as the trees in the forest or the mountains on the horizon. And yet something about them had always tugged at his mind. He had drawn water from them, fished from them, stared at their glass-black surfaces, always wondering what lay below. Only weeks earlier, another villager had hauled up something that changed everything: a fish of astonishing size. Nearly 18 pounds. It was unlike any fish people had ever caught there before. But it wasn't just the size that puzzled them. This particular species was known to live in deep, cold waters, not shallow ponds. How could such a creature have survived here? That question lit a spark in Wu's imagination. If the ponds could support such fish, perhaps they weren't ordinary at all. Perhaps the stories of bottomlessness held some truth. His curiosity, once a whisper, became an obsession. Wu wanted answers. And for the first time in centuries, someone dared to ask, what would happen if one of the ponds was drained? At first, his neighbors dismissed the idea. The ponds had been part of their lives forever. To tamper with them seemed reckless, even disrespectful. Some laughed. Others feared angering whatever forces kept them so strange. But Wu persisted. Patiently, he persuaded his fellow villagers. Together, they scraped together enough money to rent a powerful water pump. On June 18th, under a heavy sky, the pump roared to life. Its hose plunged into the still water, and slowly, the bottomless pond began to empty. The villagers crowded around, skeptical but curious, watching the water level fall inch by inch. Day turned to night, and night back to day. They worked in shifts, feeding the pump with fuel, keeping it running without pause. 5 days later, something extraordinary appeared beneath the surface. Wu noticed at first a faint, dark line cutting across the receding water. At first, he thought it was a trick of the light. But as more water drained away, the line sharpened. It was straight, impossibly straight. Then another line emerged, meeting the first at a perfect right angle. The villagers gasped. Nature does not create perfect corners. This was something else, something made by human hands. Soon, as the water fell further, the outline of stone steps came into view. It was a staircase, descending into the depths of what they had always believed was a simple pond. Excitement surged through the crowd. The pump continued its endless work, emptying the pond day and night. For 17 more days, the water poured out into the fields, and with each passing hour, more of the structure below revealed itself. What emerged was not just a staircase, but the entrance to a vast chamber, carved entirely from solid stone. At last, when the water had been drained to the very bottom, Wu prepared to descend. Armed with only a flashlight, he stepped carefully down the slick stone steps, each one carved with precision. The air grew cooler and damp as he descended. 20 steps, 30, then 50. His heart pounded with every movement. The walls around him were close and damp, their surfaces etched with long parallel grooves, marks left by tools thousands of years ago. Finally, the staircase opened into a cavern so immense that Wu stopped in his tracks. He raised his flashlight, and the beam illuminated a scene that took his breath away. Before him stood colossal stone pillars, thick as ancient trees, rising upward into the darkness. They supported a ceiling so high that it seemed to vanish into shadow. The chamber was enormous, larger than a basketball court, with walls stretching out into the gloom. Everywhere he looked, he saw evidence of deliberate construction. The walls were smooth, the corners sharp, and the entire surface was covered with rhythmic tool marks, as if carved with meticulous care by countless workers. The floor was not empty. There were carved pools, bridges, steps, and gutters, an entire system of structures hidden underground, untouched for over 2 millennia. Despite having been submerged in water for centuries, the craftsmanship remained pristine. We stood in silence, his flashlight trembling in his hand, realizing he had just uncovered something ancient and extraordinary. When he climbed back out and told the others, disbelief gave way to awe. Soon, more villagers entered, each returning with wide eyes and shaking hands. Word spread quickly. Archaeologists, geologists, and government officials were summoned to investigate. What they found shocked even the experts. The drained pond was only the beginning. Over the following months, a total of 24 underground caverns were discovered beneath the village, though only 10 survive today. Each was massive, rectangular, with a single staircase descending into vast chambers. Together, they represented one of the largest ancient excavations ever attempted, requiring nearly 1 million cubic meters of stone to be removed. And yet, not a single fragment of that stone has ever been found. The mystery only deepened. How could a civilization over 2,200 years ago, during the Qin or early Han dynasty, create something so vast, so precise, with the tools of their time? And why is there no mention of these caves in the meticulous records of ancient China? Historians of that era documented everything: wars, roads, canals, palaces. Yet no scroll, no inscription, no text mentions the building of these colossal chambers. Inside the caves, no traces of soot were found. Without modern lighting, the workers would have needed torches. Torches would have left burn marks, blackening the ceilings. But the stone surfaces were clean, free from smoke stains. How, then, did they work in the pitch black? Fragments of pottery and steel chisels inside the caves suggest they were carved around 230 BC. Some chambers even contained carvings of animals: a horse, a fish, a bird. Were these symbols of meaning? Were they decorative? Or were they clues left behind? Countless theories have been proposed. Some believe the caves were used as military strongholds. Others suggest they were tombs, palaces, or temples. Still others think they were vast cisterns, designed to store water. Yet none of these explanations fully satisfy the mystery. Tombs of such grandeur would have treasures, inscriptions, something to mark them. Palaces would surely have been recorded. Storage chambers would not require such extraordinary precision or artistry. And then there is the question of the missing stone. To carve out nearly 1 million cubic meters of rock, workers would have had to haul millions of tons away. But there is no trace of where it went. It is as if the stone simply vanished. In 2000, archaeologists discovered the Hazhan grottos, about 120 miles away. Built some 1,500 years later, they bore striking similarities to the Longyou Caves, though on a smaller scale. Were the builders of Hazhan attempting to imitate an older, more advanced design, copying a masterpiece from a civilization whose knowledge had already been lost? To this day, the Longyou Caves remain one of the greatest mysteries of the ancient world. Only one cavern has been opened to tourists. The others are closed, officially due to structural instability. But some wonder if that is the full truth. Are there things inside that authorities don't want the public to see? Secrets too strange or too valuable to reveal? What is certain is this: the Longyou Caves are unlike anything else in human history. They are too vast, too precise, too mysterious to be dismissed as ordinary. For 2,000 years, villagers drew water from ponds they thought had no bottom, never knowing that beneath their feet lay one of the most extraordinary feats of ancient engineering the world has ever seen. Some call the caves the ninth wonder of the world. Others see them as evidence of lost civilizations or forgotten technologies. Whatever they are, they stand as a silent riddle, carved into stone.